And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today we're talking about Matas Buzelis and where he finished in the Rookie of the Year votes. And then next we're talking about his season. We're going to be putting a grade on Matas Buzelis' season. Next we're going to be talking about what we should expect from Matas Buzelis next season. And so before we jump into it, I first wanted to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So make sure you hit that subscribe, you hit that like button, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And so if you have not heard, Matas Buzelis did not win the Rookie of the Year award. He finished seventh, and so he tied with Jared McCain of the Philadelphia 76ers. He did get one third-place vote, and the winner of the award was Stephon Castle of the San Antonio Spurs, and so he was one. Number two was Zachary Rizichet of the Atlanta Hawks. Number three was Alex Sarr, Washington Wizards. And so Matas Buzelis didn't win the award, and he also did not make either of the teams for the rookies as well. And so bringing that up, as you can see, he was not on the first team or the second team. He was an honorable mention. And so you see down below, it's Cal Filipowski of the Utah Jazz, Keyshawn George, Matas Buzelis, Dalton Connect, and then it's Jared McCain. But none of those players made the all-rookie first or second team. And so with that being said, the question now is, could Matas Buzelis have won this award? And so I think that there is a real possibility that Matas Buzelis certainly could have won the award, especially when you look at how he finished. And so this is going into an article that I was reading here on Bleacher Nation. It's Elias Schuster and some great facts here where he's talking about statistics for Matas Buzelis. But one of the things he talks about is just how Matas Buzelis closed. And so Matas Buzelis, once he was inserted into the starting lineup, played 27 minutes a night. He only had 14 minutes per night, or 14 minutes per game, over the first 49 games when he first started with the Chicago Bulls. And then lastly, the way he closed down the season, 13 points a game, 4.5 rebounds a game, 1.1 blocks a night. And then he also shot 47.3% from the field. And so those are some great numbers. And so I think that if Matas Buzelis could have started off this way, like he closed, I definitely think that there is maybe a case that Matas Buzelis could have even taken another step forward this season. That's probably something that if you talk to many Chicago Bulls fans, they feel like that Matas Buzelis maybe could have given you more based off the production that you saw, because it seemed like that every time that he got the minutes, every time that he ran into a challenge, Matas Buzelis certainly figured it out. And so not to take anything away from Stephon Castle, because Stephon Castle definitely was very deserving of this award, because when you look at what Stephon Castle did, I mean, he pretty much led the rookies in just about everything statistically. In fact, according to NBA.com, this player here led in points, field goals attempted and made, free throws attempted and made, total steals. He was second in total minutes, fourth in assists per game. And he also had a lot of 20-point games as well. So really showing that he could score the basketball, but more importantly, his usage rate. And so he was at 25.4, and then post All-Star break, 28.6. You have to factor in that there was no Wemby and also no De'Aaron Fox. And so, yes, Matas Buzelis could have been there. I think personally, with the way that Stephon Castle played, and then also too the way the San Antonio Spurs were set up going into the season, I think it would have been tough for Matas Buzelis to just outright get him, because there was nobody in the way of Stephon Castle really getting minutes like that, even with Chris Paul there and before De'Aaron Fox was there. I think that there was just really a lot of runway for Stephon Castle to take off as a rookie. With Matas Buzelis, this is why situations definitely play into this award, because when Matas first got here, Patrick Williams was ahead of him. Obviously, he passed him, but then You have the fact that Zach LaVine was there as well. So that is something that you have to factor in. And not saying that Zach LaVine and him are playing the same position, but offensively, you have to think about it like that. I think that the runway means that the San Antonio Spurs were probably set up more for Stephon Castle, to get the keys and to kind of do some other stuff in the offense. I think that Matas Buzelis, based off the situation, with the players ahead of him and the players that obviously were going to command some shots, and then with the way that Billy Donovan, kind of goes about it with rookies and things like that, I don't think that this was going to be, the runway for Matas Buzelis to just come in from day one and kind of take over and kind of take off, kind of like what Stephon Castle did. So I think situations are something that play definitely a part into this award. But do I think that he would have made a team? Absolutely. I think that even without Matas Buzelis playing a significant role on the offensive end, he absolutely, I think, makes either the first or the second team. I think that he's on those teams if he's playing some minutes, much like what we just talked about. If he's playing 27 plus minutes, he absolutely is either on the first or the second team for the all rookies. And so next, after we've gone through this, I wanted to go ahead and jump into now the season grade for Matas Buzelis. And so, look, I think that his season grade for me, I thought he was excellent. And so let's go ahead and jump into the numbers. And so I know we don't have like a huge sample size to compare with Matas Buzelis, but there's several things to take away from his season. And so let's start with the fact that Matas Buzelis is a player that, man, he showed so many flashes in just so many different ways. And so offensively, I love the fact that Matas Buzelis became a player that once he got his opportunity, he became more aggressive. I think that you saw him not stand in the corner, right? Because initially when he first got in, he was standing in the corner, and then you had, other players that had the keys to the offense, and then really, they weren't running anything for him. And then, this last half of the season, I'm not going to say that they were running anything for him, but they were definitely getting him the basketball to where he could do a little bit more work. And I think he took advantage of that. And so that's point number one with his season. Point number two with Matas Buzelis and the flashes, like defensively, you love it because he led the team in block shots, as you can see, at 75. And so I think that Matas Buzelis, in showing that ability to block shots, that is something that is going to translate, just incredibly to his defensive game, because once he gets stronger, once he gets better, just understanding, where he needs to be laterally on the defensive end, you pair that with the block shots and just the athleticism that Matas Buzelis has. I think that he has a real chance to be a two-way star for the Chicago Bulls because of some of the things that we saw. The steals not bad in his first season. You see that he had 29 there. But I think I want to go and now look at the three-point percentage, because that was something that coming out of the draft, that was a real question mark. It was, okay, can Matas Buzelis really shoot the basketball? Because I guess, he shot it well in high school. He got to the G League Ignite and it wasn't good. All right. And so I was always saying that the way that his shot looked, he definitely, it wasn't broke. Like, it looks good. And you could definitely tell that he got the confidence and he definitely believed. And as he's working with Peter Patton, I think that that's something that got better and better really throughout the year. I'm thinking about when he hit just a dagger 3-point shot against the Miami Heat, and just that type of confidence. And so I think that that is something that was a real plus this season for Matas Buzelis. And looking at the percentages, 36.1%, that is solid as a rookie, because we just talked about Ayo Dosunmu yesterday on the video. And I know it was a down year for Ayo, 32%, but this just lets you know just what he did in year one, coming in to shoot 36%. Ayo, his career high was 40%, so not bad as a rookie to come in and shoot 36%. And then his field goal percentage, 45.4. I think that that's not bad as well. I think that you're going to see more of that increase, especially in next year for him, when they start to hopefully run some more things for Matas Buzelis. And so, the points at 8.6 points per game, I think he easily could have been a double figure type of player. And so I don't really look too much into that. I like the fact that he shot 81.5% from the free throw line. So really making teams pay if they fouled him. And with his athleticism, the Euro steps and things that he showed flashes with this season, like I definitely think he's going to be seeing the free throw line often with his game. He's certainly going to be a lob threat that fits with Josh Giddey and Coby White, and the way that the offense is set up to get up and down the floor. So that was a plus. I thought that once he learned the offense, I don't think that there was too many like plays where you look at games and you go, okay, Matas wasn't in the correct spot. Like I definitely think from a spacing standpoint, he understood that. So you have got to love that. And just, again, I love the fact that he learns from his mistakes. I think that every time Matas was challenged, whether it was Billy Donovan taking him out or he got put into the G League or whatnot, Matas Buzelis always seemed to respond. And I think he's a player that is probably not going to be coming out of the starting lineup. I'll stand by that. I don't think that Patrick Williams is going to be able to get him out of the starting lineup. I think that Matas Buzelis takes off from this last season. And I'm not sure that there's a rookie that's going to come in out of this year's draft that is going to take Matas Buzelis' spot. And I'll say it again. I think that Matas Buzelis is going to be a player that is going to really be impactful, I think, to the Chicago Bulls for quite some time. I think that he's going to be responsible for a lot of winning for the Chicago Bulls. And so my grade for him, I'm giving him a B, actually. I think he was a B. As a matter of fact, I'm giving him an A. I think that Matas Buzelis was an A for me. I think not a B, I'm giving him an A because the way that he approached it and just him adjusting and just doing everything that he could, I think that he was perfect. I really do. I was going to give him a B, just because it's like, all right, it's his first year and just thinking, okay, he did make some mistakes, but I'm like, granted that he was a rookie, I think that he did everything perfect. He learned from it. He went out there. He took the role at the end of the year. He ran with it. He was always coachable. He just seems like a player that just wants to take it the extra mile. And I think he's going to be right there with Josh Giddey, Coby White, and these players coming back next season that we're going to be super excited for. And so speaking of next season and the outlook for Matas Buzelis, look, I think it starts with Billy Donovan and really trusting Matas Buzelis more. I think that we're disappointed that he kind of, paced him along the way he did. I think we wanted to see Matas Buzelis a lot more at the beginning, but it made sense at the end because you see that Matas Buzelis was able to finish as strong as he did this last season. And, he paced him along. He didn't hit into a rookie wall, which is good. And I just think that Billy Donovan, he's going to have to trust Matas Buzelis if the Chicago Bulls are going to turn it around. I think that, the young core of, Josh Giddey, assuming the Chicago Bulls are bringing him back, Coby White, and then Matas Buzelis, like that's your core. And so Billy Donovan going to have to trust him. There is no Torrey Craig. I think that he tried to trust Patrick Williams as long as he possibly could. And then finally, it just came down to the point that, look, Matas Buzelis has surpassed him. And so Billy Donovan, that is, I think, the first step. He's going to have to trust Matas Buzelis. And I think with Matas Buzelis, look, all we need to see from him is to continue to do what he did this season, which is continue to work, continue to show that type of dog mentality that he did. And I think the sky is the limit for Matas Buzelis. Look, he averaged 8.6 points a game. If we're putting out points, I expect for Matas Buzelis to be anywhere from a 14 to a 16-point scorer next season. I think his rebounds are going to go up. And I also think his assist totals will go up as well. Like, I think a lot of things across the board are going to go up for Matas Buzelis. And I would say the one thing that I'm focusing on for Matas is going to be defensively. I think defensively, that is the key. There were several blown assignments for him, but for all the blown assignments, there were also some great things that Matas Buzelis did. And again, I'm not saying that he's an elite defender, but I saw enough growth that I feel comfortable in where Matas Buzelis is headed as a player. And so I just cannot wait for next season. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Do you feel like that Matas Buzelis was an A? Do you feel like he was a B? Initially, I said B, but I think he's definitely an A. And then lastly, what do you guys think about Matas Buzelis finishing 7th in the Rookie of the Year award votes? Look, I think that he definitely could have been right there with Stephon Castle. I'm not going to say that he could have necessarily, won that award, but he would have been certainly right there. And I'll say this one last thing too before we jump out of this, and this is definitely an important part because going into the offseason, you're seeing a lot of trade rumors and things like that. And obviously, if you're going after a player, you're probably going to attach a pick. And so I'm throwing out there like a Giannis situation, which it's in the rumor mill. But this is one of the reasons why I think the Chicago Bulls should really focus on what they're doing in the NBA draft, because the San Antonio Spurs now have two winners of the Rookie of the Year award, and that's back-to-back years. And so you have Wemby, and then you also have Stephon Castle. That is the second time in 50 years that has happened. You had Andrew Wiggins in 2015 and then Karl Anthony Towns in 2016. They both won the award consecutive years with Minnesota. And so both of those players, very good players, right? Those are players that certainly we would love to have. And that's what I'm talking about when you're looking at the NBA draft. You can't just keep punting on your draft picks. And the only way that the Chicago Bulls are truthfully going to turn things around is you're going to have to develop talent like a Matas Buzelis. And yes, you may not be in the top 5 picking, but Matas Buzelis was not a top 5 pick, which is why, look, if the Chicago Bulls remain at 12th, then look, you have got to take that seriously and know that you can really get a piece in the draft that can really change some things. You do have a second round pick as well. But point being, this is why you do not punt on your draft picks. And so let me know in the comments again what you guys think about Matas Buzelis finishing 7th, And then also, too, what do you think about Matas Buzelis not making the all-rookie first team and the all-rookie second team? Because I definitely think he's going to come back with vengeance next year. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.